Hi, I'm Nick Paulson. You're watching News 24 Live this weekend with no rugby championship on the go. All eyes will be on the domestic front, the Currie Cup, and I'm joined in studio by Sport 24 editor Garen Lamley to preview this weekend's games. Garen, welcome again.
Thanks very much.
Tonight's match, the Lions and the Pumas.
Right, yeah, interesting match actually. On paper you've got the second placed Lions on the log against the third place Pumas. Pumas coming off a little bit of a defeat last weekend. They've been fantastic at home, but they weren't so good on the road against the Griquas in Kimberley. Their coach Jimmy Stonehouse was filthy with them afterwards, saying it was their worst performance ever. I think that might have been a little bit of an exaggeration, because they actually weren't that bad. They only lost by 4 points. They did pick up a bonus point, but now they have to travel to Ellis Park, and the Lions have played some fantastic rugby this season already. They're one of the teams that isn't really affected by the Springboks being missing. They don't have that many, one or two at most, but they are missing Warren Whiteley, the inspirational skipper. So, they're at home at altitude. Hopefully a lot of fans turn up at Ellis Park, not the best supported ground, unfortunately, in South Africa. But it should be a humdinger of a game. I was sort of toing and froing as to who to go with here. I expect the Pumas to be a lot better than they were last weekend, but I still think the Lions will be a little bit too good for them at home. Both packs are pretty strong. No-name brands, if you like, in both packs, but they've scrummed incredibly well, especially the Lions this season. I think they might have a little bit of dominance up front, and then it's really the backlines. Who ignites their backline better on the night. I think it's going to be a fairly high-scoring game. Hopefully, the conditions are good for some running rugby. Both teams wanting to pick up those 5 points for an extra 4 tries. So I expect a high-scoring game, sort of like in the 35-30 range. But I think the Lions will take it by sort of 4 or 5 points.
Okay. What do you know of Jimmy Stonehouse? It seems like he's quite a passionate character. He looks like he could play in the pack himself.
Yeah, I'm sure he played some rugby in his time. I don't know too much about him, to be honest, but he is perhaps the most passionate after Heineke May on the sidelines. You see him in the coach's box thumping his fist in both annoyance and in glee. So, he's really one of those players that sort of engage with their players. I'm sure they can identify with him as a past player. So, it's fantastic to see these smaller unions with these passionate coaches really striving, and really setting the benchmark so high that they can come out after a defeat and say, that was one of the worst performances. We will definitely be better next week. So, it's great to see, and I wish a lot more coaches were actually, showed the same sort of passion on the sideline. So, hats off to old Jimmy. Hopefully his team does better this weekend, but I think they're going to fall a little bit short. But they'll still be in the top 4 after the weekend, I'm sure.
They're a point apart. It's very much a battle for second place, and very much a battle between two packs. Both these sides have proved that they've got probably the best packs in the tournament so far.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure that the Lions pack, if you looked at the stats in the Super Rugby, they were perhaps the best scrumming and line-out unit combined there. So, they've sort of carried that through to the Currie Cup, and a lot of the teams haven't been able to live with them. They've really dominated the rolling maul, the ruck situation, the scrum, the line-out. Again, like I said, they don't have any household names there. They're missing Warren Whiteley, who's perhaps their best-known forward. So he's out the mix again. He's part of the Springbok squad at the moment. But those no-name brands have really stood up and raised their hands, and they've shone this year. Hopefully, the Springbok coaches taking a look at what's going on at sort of the second tier, just below the Springboks. Player to mention, perhaps the hooker Armand van der Merwe. He was fantastic against the Lions last week. Most robust-looking player I've seen in a while to come out of the Lions. So he perhaps has higher honours waiting for him down the line. And then the Pumas again. Again a whole bunch of no-name brands, but play as a team. No individual stars. Certainly gather around the 8, stick together. So it should be. I think that's where the battle is going to be won or lost. The backlines sort of, I think, balance each other out. But whoever gets that forward dominance, I think, is going to prevail on Friday night.